Hello everyone and welcome back to Arctic Retro. In today's video I'm gonna build something, and the thing I'm gonna build is in this bag here, and I can use it with this 1541 floppy disk drive for the Commodore machines. If you saw my advent calendar in December last year, you saw that I copied floppy disks from my Commodore to a file using the Pi 1541 device and the copy program on the Commodore 64, and that was a little bit of cumbersome, so I actually looked around to see if I could find any easier solution, and this is the XUM1541 device. So I got a bunch of old 5¼ inch floppy disks for the Commodore 64 with lots of stuff that I want to keep for the future. So my plan is to use this device to copy those diskettes, and this device makes it possible to connect a 1541 floppy disk drive to your PC and directly copy the disks over to a D64 file on your PC. So I got all the parts I need, I think, except for the serial connector, and yeah, that's the same that the 1541 floppy disk drive uses, and I have this parts board here that has one, so I'm gonna desolder this and use for this project. Alright, so now I got the IEC serial connector, and it will fit into this PCB.
This video is sponsored by PCBWay. If you are a creator and need some PCBs, then you should consider PCBWay.
If you visit PCBWay.com, you can get an instant quote on very good quality PCBs for affordable prices. Besides good quality PCBs, PCBWay also offers CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, 3D printing, injection molding, among other services. So head over to PCBWay and check out their services. So before I start the soldering, let's take a look at the PCBs, and it is two PCBs. This is the main PCB, and this is just something to put on top just to cover the components. There's no functionality in this. And this PCB was designed by the GitHub profile TEBL, and it is based on another project, the XUM project, an older project. This is a redesign of that. And if you visit the GitHub page, you can get all the information you need about this project, and he also has a lot of other useful retro computer projects on his GitHub page. Okay, so this is based on an Arduino Pro microcontroller, which I got here. So this is the one that runs the firmware that you use for this, and yeah, it's gonna be soldered in like that. And also there's some other components necessary for this board, and I got them here. You can also connect a parallel connector, and as I understand it, is that if you have speed DOS on your 1541 and Commodore, you can connect it via this parallel cable and get even faster speeds. I'm not gonna do that, I'm just gonna solder in the connector, that's all. Okay, I'm gonna solder the whole thing together now, and then I'll come back to the details on how this works and how you can use it with your PC. First, I'm gonna solder in the pin headers for the microcontroller, and I'll just place it inside this breadboard to keep the pins straight. Let the soldering begin. Now the microcontroller can go into the board like this. However, I don't want to solder it in. I actually going to use a socket because I don't have the correct connector for these square pin headers. I'm using a socket. I know this doesn't fit very well with those pins, but it will work at least once. But taking it in and out several times will probably not be a good idea. Then we have a couple of LEDs and yeah, a reset button. Almost finished. Now this socket for the 74LS06 chip. And that's not the correct socket, so I need to find a smaller one. Here's the right one, a 14 pin. That was all the soldering except for the IEC connector. Okay, that went smooth. Just gonna insert the chip and the microcontroller. Now this cover that's supposed to go on top here doesn't fit because this connector doesn't fit the out cut for the connector. I actually got the wrong connector with this kit. As you can see, this is a regular 5-pin DIN connector, and that's not the same as this 6-pin serial, so I couldn't use that, but this is the correct connector, but this won't fit, but I don't care about that. I'm not gonna install that. It came with these standoffs and screws. Only one thing remaining, and that is a little bit of a cleaning of the PCB. With the soldering done, it's time to think about programming the microcontroller. However, I'm first gonna do an initial test just to see that it powers on. All right. Oh, that was bright LEDs. Maybe they're driven a little bit too hard, at least the green one. Yeah. It actually seems to be powering on, and it is kind of working. Let's test with it connected to a 1541 drive. Okay, it's time to go over to the Windows machine and try to program this microcontroller. Here I am at the github.com and the TEBL account, and this is the C64 XUM1541 repository, and this is actually the prequel to the module that I have just built. This is the first revision, which is a bit simpler. But this repository has a lot of necessary documentation that you need to read. And there's a separate page for the firmware installation, which I'm gonna follow now. I'm not gonna go through all this, but the first thing you need to do is to install WinAVR. And I have already downloaded that, so I'm gonna start the installation of that. Just go through this quickly. Now that's done. WinAVR is an open source development tools for the Atmel AVR microcontrollers. So the next thing we're supposed to do is to connect the microcontroller and then find the correct COM port that we're gonna use when programming this. So I'm just gonna connect this to a USB micro cable here to my computer. Okay, so I did struggle a bit. The Arduino is supposed to show up under Device Manager as a port. However, that did not happen, and I actually tried several different USB micro cables. And yeah, nothing shows up. So I am actually afraid that these cables are only for charging, not for data. However, I found this cable inside an old mobile phone box, and yeah, I'm sure this is a data cable because it also has a charger in that box. So yeah, let's see now. I plug it in. Okay, there's something happening. Yes, now we're talking. Suddenly there is a port selection here, and yeah, it shows Arduino Micro as COM3. So next I'm gonna download the firmware, and it says here to download the XUM1541 Pro Micro V7 hex, and it also says something about not being able to use V8. So yeah, I'm gonna use the V7. Alright, so reading a little bit closer, I actually saw that this is the documentation, of course, for the XUM1541. The one I have built is the XUM1541-II, and the new version is supporting the newest firmware, so we can download this one. It has a 7406 on the board, so I guess it's this one. So I'm gonna download this 7406 V8 hex. However, you cannot just right click and save the file, because then you get some HTML code as well. So you need to go into the hex and click raw, and then you save that file. Not as a text file, but as a hex file. To flash the microcontroller, you're supposed to use this AVRDude command and specify different things. For example, among others, the COM port and of course the file name that you wanna flash. So I'm just copying that command and then move over to my command window. So now we are in temp and there's the file. So also just check it was COM3. So I'm pasting in the command, remove the file name, then change to COM3, and then the XUM firmware file. Okay, let's try that. No, it doesn't seem to do anything. Reading a little bit more, you are actually supposed to flash the microcontroller right when it boots up, and the bootloader just takes 0.7 seconds. That's way too short time, but it has a special function that yeah, if you press the reset button twice, then it will run into a bootloader that takes 8 seconds. Still just hanging, not able to communicate. Let me try once more. It's probably not supposed to be easy, this one, but I noticed something. You see here, it is port on COM3, Arduino board, Arduino Micro, COM3. If I reset it once, then it comes with the Arduino Micro bootloader at COM4. So, okay, so let's try COM4 then. COM4. So let's try resetting and using COM4. Connecting to program, yes. Writing, all right. AVR dude done, thank you. Okay, so now there's a new device, and it's called XUM1541 floppy adapter, Pro Micro 7406. So this seemed to work then. Nice. Device is ready, set up and ready to go, and here it is under other devices. Okay, let's see if we can use this then. The next step here says to install the drivers in Windows, and to do that we need to use something called SADIC. I don't know what that is, but it is a USB driver installation made easy application. So I'm gonna try and run this now. It is a little bit scary to download the exe files directly, so I just take a little scan with Microsoft Defender just to be a little bit more sure that it's nothing nasty going on, and it seems to be okay. So let me run this then. Okay, so here it says XUM1541 floppy adapter, Pro Micro 7406. That's the only choice, so I guess that is okay. Install driver. The installation process can take up to 5 minutes, alright. I'll be back. Okay, it wasn't 5 minutes. The driver was installed successfully. Thank you. As usual, I went a little bit ahead of myself, and I didn't read everything. You are supposed to select libUSB Win32 here and replace the driver. So the previous operation was probably just replacing existing drivers with the same drivers. So now if we go back to device manager, we should see that the driver is loaded and no warning here, and sure enough, there it is. Then the next step is to install OpenCBM. OpenCBM is tools that can be used with Commodore devices like the one I have built now. So I'm gonna download that one. And this one you need to unzip somewhere. And then I'm gonna start a command prompt in ctemp. And then you're supposed to run install XUM1541, so I'm gonna do that. And here it tells me that it can install the necessary USB drivers. So I guess we'll select yes. Not really sure if that is the correct answer. The documentation doesn't tell. And here we get the security warning and select install this driver software anyway. Press enter to exit the program. So that should be it. We now should have a program files OpenCBM folder created, which we have. So we should now be able to run commands. So let me just go into that folder, and then we can type CBM control detect. and it actually did not return anything. So okay, so it says here that in fact if you didn't connect a 1541 floppy disk device, then it will show nothing. So let me just connect my disk drive then. Does it work or does it not? So I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to turn on the floppy disk drive first, but yeah, let me do that. Floppy disk drive is on, and now I am connecting the XUM to my computer. Yeah, and it actually initialized, so seems to be good that far. Let me run the command again, detect. Yes, it says 1541-II, and that's exactly what we got. Nice. So now I'm gonna try and copy a disk. Let's try this one. This contains some of my old demos from back in the day. All right, to copy a disk into a D64 file, we use this command, D64 copy, and you specify device number, which is 8, and then I'm gonna place it into C:temp and call it LCS demos D64. Oops, a little typo there. Let's see now. Yeah. Seems to work. That's very fascinating to see, in fact. So there is no fast loader here, no Jiffy DOS or anything, but this seemed to be faster than a regular floppy disk copy on a Commodore 64. I don't know. Let's see now if we find the file. Yeah, there it is. And of course I had a typo. I should have written LCS demos, but then we can just fix that. So now I have a backup copy of that floppy disk. Yeah, nice. Let me try the other side as well. I'm not sure if there's anything on that, but swapping to the other side. Yeah, there's something there as well. Let's see what's on that one. Yeah, there's different kinds of tools. Sprites, LCS, character, there's some character files, Rambo characters, probably stuff I used when I made demos. So the CBM control has a lot of additional commands, like reading and writing, and yeah, status and dir. Let's try dir. It is CBM, CTRL, and then dir, and the voice number 8. So now it should list the directory on the disk, and it does. And there's also a status on 8. Yeah, status string from the ROM of the floppy disk. Alright, I think that is it for this video almost. A nice little device. One thing I wanted to explore further is using the parallel port here. That might come in another video sometime later. Now I have this device and I can use it with OpenCBM. Alrighty, that was it for this video. It's fun to actually build some hardware and then see that it works, and testing its functionality. And yeah, this one was a great device. Actually, I wasn't aware that such a device existed, that you could connect this easily to a regular PC and copy files from an old 1541 floppy drive. So yeah. So thanks for watching, and if you want to see more, then I hope you press that subscribe button and the like button. I really appreciate that, and as usual, thanks a lot to my supporters at Patreon. See you, bye bye.